Thing is important. That's no lie. That's the truth. But I just love to spend money.
Let me make that clear. There's nothing wrong with spending, but we want to be better spenders. We just don't buy because we see it, but we buy because we can afford it. So we don't want to look at what people are doing in social media, because a lot of times what people are doing in social media is not real. Yo, it's your boy, LJ Chaplin, with Lady Caesar, bringing to you Chilling With The Chaplins, where we deep dive, giving you practical concepts in ministry, business, relationship, and personal development, so we can take control of our life. Let's go, and let's get it started. Welcome to Chilling With The Chaplins. I'm LJ with the one and only, my lovely wife, Lady Caesar. She is in the building. You know what I'm saying? You know we're about that vibe each and every week. You know, you got us, you know. So this week, we want to say, and I'm excited about this episode again. We are in the second part of Think Differently. And so we want to talk about today, preparing our money for recession. Preparing our money for recession. Because we realize, we know that, we are, everyone is talking about recession, and you know what happened a lot of times when we are in recession. A lot of times, people be losing jobs. People are stressing out, because prices is going up, because of inflation, because of all the different things that happen in our environment, and in our country, and different parts of the world. Doesn't matter where you are, we all feel the impact of inflation, of recession. And so this episode of Think Differently, we want to talk about preparing our money for recession. Now, I realize it because financial literacy was not taught in school. And so a lot of us is in a disadvantage if we didn't learn it outside of school and get the education or read different books about finances. And so that's why a lot of times, because we didn't receive the proper education of financial literacy, we don't know how to budget our money. We don't know how to plan our money. We don't know how to become better decision makers with our money. And so today we are excited, and I'm excited about this podcast. And so, honey, what you think about preparing our money for recession?
Well, you're excited, yet I'm not. All right, so that's just a disclaimer. I'm not excited about this episode. I'm being honest. You want honesty, right? So I'm gonna be honest. Because yes, recession is bound to happen. That's no lie. That's the truth. Budgeting is important. That's no lie. That's the truth. But I just love to spend money. Okay? I love to spend money. So I'll be learning just like you guys, because I'm a spender. Alright?
Well, yeah. Well, this is something that we both learning, because for us to overcome recession, for us to overcome our spending habits, we have to learn financial literacy. We have to learn these different tricks and trades so that we're able to spend wisely. There's nothing wrong with spending. Let me make that clear. There's nothing wrong with spending, but we want to be better spenders. We want to be able to plan our money so that we receive the things that we want. There's nothing wrong with spending. Nothing wrong with going on vacation. There's nothing wrong with having a bag, but knowing what you can do and what you can't do. And that's why our first point, we want to talk about at your age. And I would say at your age and not your age. And so I just want to do a little jokey there. But at your age, And so what I mean by acting on your wage, I mean acting your wage by not living above your means, not getting things when when you can't afford it, but living below your means. And when you're able to live below your means, when recession hit, because you are living below your means, it won't impact you as much. You won't be affected as much. Why? Because you don't have no worries. Because you're living below your means. You paying for things in cash instead of using credit a lot of times. They always say cash is queen. Cash is queen, and I would say cash is king, but credit is queen. Because credit is important, but when we're able to use our credit wisely. And so, we want to say at your wage and not your age. Because a lot of times, some of us, when it comes to money, we ain't acting our age. We're acting like we are still children when it's concerning money. And that's including myself, which I'm still learning, I'm still developing of financial literacy, because again, we wasn't trained in school about financial literacy, and some of us learn late, but can I say late is better than never. And so, as we continue to develop and as we continue to grow, we're able to plan better and be better spenders. And so, do you have anything on about acting your way, sweetheart?
Go on, you're doing good.
Yes. And so, we want to act our age and our age. And so I like this because I want to read the scripture in Luke 14:28, and I'm reading from the King James Version. It said, "For which of you intended to build a tower?" And like I said, we are building something. We are building generational wealth. We want to leave a legacy behind. We want to leave an inheritance to our children. So we are building something. Some of you might be building a business. Some of you might want to build be able to go to school and then get an education. I don't know what you're building, but we all building something. And so it said, "For which of you intended to build a tower?" Some of us want to build a better marriage and be able to get married one day. So we are building something. We are building something. And so you build a tower, sitting not down first. Count up the cost, whether he or she has sufficient to finish it. Lest Halley, after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish. See, because here's the thing, we don't want to start something and can't finish it. And a lot of times we start something and we can't finish it because we're not counting the cost, because we are living above our means. See, when we live below our means, then guess what? When we want to go on vacation, we don't have to say, "Oh, well, how am I pay this bill next month? How am I pay this bill this month?" Or so because why? A lot of times we do things spontaneous. Sometimes we do things, right away without planning or preparing for that vacation. And so that's why we I want to continue to say at your wage and not your age. And so, because when we build something, we want to make sure we build on the rock. We want to make sure we build on a strong foundation. We want to make sure that we are counting the cost so that we don't get embarrassed, so that we don't look a fool. And this is something that I know I experienced and I went through in my life. I'm doing something and things didn't work out in my favor. Things didn't work out like I wanted to because I didn't do better in counting the cost. And so a lot of us can experience that. We started something and we couldn't finish it. We started something and we had to stop. We started something, and a lot of times, sometimes pride to get in the way because we can't finish it, and we're still trying to do it, even though we can't finish it. But we're still trying to do it and just get ourselves in deeper trouble. And so I want to tell you, don't allow your pride to get in the way. If you can't finish it, you can't finish it. If you get embarrassed, you get embarrassed. It's okay to start over. And so, honey, you have anything that you want to input with what I'm saying?
We can move to point number 2. Budget right.
Budget right. Yes. Point number 2 is budget right. And with budgeting, we want to make sure that we able to budget for success. A lot of times we have different things that we and it seems like a solo podcast today. I know my wife don't, but it's okay because this is critical for all of us because we want to be a holistic podcast and we want to touch on different topics. And so even the topics that we are going through and experiencing, and we are learning and growing at the same time because a lot of us is still learning, still developing, still growing. And so, like I said, we want to learn how to budget right. And with budgeting right, we just experienced this because we looking to purchase a house, and we had to look through my bank statements. We had to look through my bank statements and see the income and the expenses to see what I'm spending every month. And that's a good way to go by because I'm like, man, that was a rude awakening because just by going through my bank statements, I know what I'm spending, but just by looking at it, I'm like, oh wow, this is what coming out of my bank account. This is what coming out of my bank account. And by you being aware of what's coming out your bank account, now you're able to eliminate things that you are not using that are showing up. You're able to, a lot of us, we have a lot of distraction. We have cable, we have Hulu, we have different streaming services. We have all the different things that's coming out of our account that a lot of times we don't need cable and Hulu. We don't need Netflix and the difference. So we able to choose one and eliminate the rest, or sometimes, for a period of time, maybe cut off all of them so that we're to get ourselves together. And so that's when we talk about budgeting, budget right. Because a lot of time when we had to look through our bank statements, we're to see what we're going. And so I want to say this: when we budgeting, the most important thing when we budgeting, a lot of times we definitely want to make sure have our priorities straight. We definitely want to be able to give our tithes. I mean, when you are tither, when you giving your tithes and you giving to God, not giving to the church, not giving to the pastor, but when you follow the principle and you giving God His 10%, then guess what? Then a lot of times, we don't worry about what's coming. We don't worry about the recession. Why? Because one, we're tither. So one, we definitely want to give our tithes. And another thing, we want to pay ourselves. We want to put money in our savings. Have an emergency account. And I've read an article about emergency account with African Americans and Latino families. They say 47% of African Americans don't have an emergency fund for 3 months, and 40% of Latinos don't have that's a huge number.
Well, because most people live from paycheck to paycheck, how do you expect them to save when they cannot afford to save?
Yes, and that's
living
why
from hand to mouth.
Yes, and that's why if you're living from hand to mouth, that's why we say we budgeting, because a lot of things that we get that's not our priority, and it's a luxury.
True to some people. Some people literally are buying basics and they cannot afford to save because inflation has gone high. Their checks have not gone up. So how do you expect those people to help themselves?
Yes, and so if that's the case, then a lot of times you have to look for different ways to make extra money. Sometimes you might have to look for different ways. You have to be creative and making extra money. Get a side hustle to make extra money so that you're able to do and so that you're able to get out. You're living, and like I said, when you're a tither, you're able to go to God and pray like, Lord, help me to find another way to make more money. And when you're a tither, God will provide. God will open up the door for you, because he said in his word that he'll open up the windows of heaven for you. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, we want to correct that. We want to fix that, because you can't do better. You know, you can't do better. It's just an excuse to say, oh, I'm living for paycheck to paycheck. If you continue to have the excuse, then we will never come out. Like we talked about last week, that we live in an abundant mindset. We got to see the opportunity to come out of a situation, because we can come out of a situation, but we got to do the right steps and the right things so that we able to come out of a situation. And so budgeting, and for those that living from paycheck to paycheck, if you have to do a side hustle, it's okay to do a side hustle. You know, plan it out. Say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do this maybe for a period of time, you know, till things get better. And then once things get better, like, oh, okay, I don't have to do this no more. But that way you're able to, you know, give your tithes, pay yourself, put some money in the emergency fund, you know, build up that emergency fund, and build up that emergency account. And then once you're able to build up and that emergency account is like your expensive, you know, because of recession, I would say 6 months to a year of your expenses in the savings account, so that if anything happened, God forbid, you lose your job or something happened, that's an emergency, you're able to go into your emergency fund to take care of the thing that you need to take care of. And then guess what? Once that's over, you're able to go back and build up your emergency fund. So we want to eliminate excuses, because we're not in a scarce. We don't want to live in a scarcity mindset, but we want to always continue having an abundant mindset. And so yeah, this is one in budgeting. And another thing I want to say, right? You know, because with budgeting, I talk about opening up a checking and savings account with a community and a federal credit union, because a community bank has benefits for people that's in a community. That's why they call it a community bank. We always run to these big banks. And I said it before, you know, we got to look at big banks for big businesses, because big businesses the only one that really get the benefits of the big banks. But community banks have the benefit people in the community that's like lower class. They have benefit for you to be able to save money, to be able to, they can give you a plan on how to build up your credit and how to purchase a home. They got different benefits for you. So I always say, start looking into a small bank. If you're gonna, when you start saving, a small community bank or federal credit union. But we wanna budget right. Go through your bank statements. See what's in there that shouldn't be in there. You know, those restrictions. And another thing I would say, so that another priority is your mind. You know, your education. You know, because you want. This is how we grow and this is how we do better. Because our mind is a terrible thing to waste, and if we don't learn to develop our mind, and you could just start off small, but just by reading a book, you know, purchase a book or an audio book, or listen to different podcasts, so that you're able to continue to grow in the different areas of financial literacy, of whatever it is that you want to grow in. So, like we said, budget right, get rid of subscriptions, get rid of things that you don't need. But make sure, like I said, you have the necessities: tithing, food, and I'm talking about the meats, the fruits, the things that you need to eat, not junk food, but the things you need, and then so that and then your education, like be able to plan to be able to better yourself so that you can improve your situation, because we're about improving our situation and not making it worse. And so budget right. And so that leads to the third one is becoming smart consumers. You know, becoming smart consumers. And when we're able to budget right, we can become smarter consumers. They say African American and black and brown people are the biggest consumers. Let's change that. Let's say that we are the smartest consumers. We just don't buy because we see it, but we buy because we can afford it. Let me say that again. We don't buy because we see it and it looks good and because the Joneses have it, because of what we see on social media, which is a lot of that stuff is not real. There's a lot of people that's on social media that's struggling. A lot of these people that are famous, athletes, all these entertainers that are struggling. They showing you one thing, but they live in another. So we don't want to look at what people are doing in social media, because a lot of times what people are doing in social media is not real. So we want to don't focus on what everybody else and what we see. But
don't do it for the likes.
Yes, don't do it like my wife said. Don't do it for the likes, but do it because we can afford it. Remember we said earlier, at your wage and not your age. Do it because you can afford it. You can go on vacation because you can afford to go on vacation. Purchase that bag because you can afford to go on that vacation. If you don't have $1,000 in your savings, then you don't need $1,000 bag. You know so whatever. And if you want that bag, make sure you have more than enough in your savings to be able to get that bag or get that watch or go on vacation, so that when you come back home you won't be struggling. You won't be begging, because a lot of times life does happen. Life happens. And when life happens, we don't want to have to borrow money or use our credit to get a loan to take care of different things, to be able to pay for something when life happens. So that's why we want to be better prepared and become smart consumers. And the last thing to be in reception, and we talk about gentrification, is invest in real estate. Invest in real estate. Invest in real estate. Because when you invest in real estate, at least you know that you own your own home. No one can force you out. So definitely invest in real estate so that you're able to continue to be above, because it's your house. That's where you live at. So I would say to overcome a recession, because even though, and when we buy a home, if it's your first home, I would let anybody know when you buy a home, just don't let your first home be a single family property. If you can afford it, to have a 2-family, 3 or 4-family, because it's the same interest and it's all single, it's all residential. It's the same interest. If it's 5%, it's 5% for the 4 family. The only time the interest rate changes when it's above 4 unit, because that's considered commercial. But anyone from a single family, anywhere between a 1 unit to a 4 unit, is all considered a single family. So I would say get a 2 to 4 unit, so that you're able to house that, live in one, rent out the others. So that you're able to, that's one way, because our biggest bill is our mortgage and rent. And so if we can eliminate our biggest bill, that will put a lot of pressure off us as well. If we can eliminate our biggest bill, that will eliminate our pressure, because why? We have renters that can help us pay the mortgage. And then another thing, they have FHA programs. They have different programs so that you can go out and get a house, and so that we're to leave a legacy and build generational wealth. This is how the rich stay rich, is they invest in real estate. Please do your homework, see what the big businesses investing in, and you will see a lot of these big businesses have real estate. McDonald's, they have real estate. They're a franchise, but they own their real estate. So I would say invest in real estate because inflation is going up. That means when inflation goes up, rental goes up. And so because rental goes up, if you're on the wrong side of the stick, then guess what? That means you're gonna be affected by it. But if you own real estate, can I tell you something too? Another thing. Regardless if you're renting or owning, you're in real estate. Regardless if you're renting or owning, you're in real estate. So why not be on the right side of the stick of real estate and own your own home? And if you can't afford it right now, like I told you, that's why we want to get in a community bank or build a relationship with a community bank or federal credit union so that they can help us and give us an action plan so that we can reach that goal and own our own home. Because like I said, with a savings account, we can easily save $5, in that savings account. Only $5, $10 until we gradually be able to go to $10 and $20 and $50 until we have enough. And so, sweetheart, do you have anything that you like
thank
that?
you for the lessons. It's been a lot that you spoke about, a lot of good nuggets. So thank you. I hope everybody learned as much as I did. As you saw, I didn't have much to say on this topic because I'm still learning, and because I'm a consumer. I love to buy. It makes me happy. So yeah, I guess it was my lecture today, and I'm happy to learn. So hope you're happy to learn too along with me. All right?
Yes, but it's like I said, it's okay being a consumer, and this is something that like as we learn together because we are one. This is my wife, and what happened to me happened to her, and what happened to her happened to me. We both is impacted. And again, when we talk about budgeting for a married couple and for people that are if two people working, a lot of times when we marry, we have separate accounts and we do our own thing. And sometimes, if one let's say one is making 40,000 and the other one making another 40,000. 40 and 40, we doing our thing. We still singing. You have your bank, you have your bank. It's like we still singing. But imagine we both come together and we put that 80,000 to. That's bringing it together. That 40,000 is 80,000. And so if we combine our income, right? We combine our income. That's $80,000. And so guess what? A lot of times our bills is not $80,000. And so we combine it together and we have one bank account where we put our paycheck in, and then guess what? We have a bank to pay for the bills, and then after that we both receive a salary. Of course a woman, probably would get the most because I feel like a man, for me, I can speak for me, I feel like I don't need as much to, because I don't need as much. So I know my wife would get more in that salary to be able to live and to go shop and to do the things that she like to do. With me, I will probably get less because I feel like I don't need that much. Once the bills is paid, I feel like I don't need as much to do a lot of different things. I'm happy. And so a lot of times I would say for married people, a lot of times learn how to, especially if both people is working, sometimes get a joint account, and so that you're able to put both of you have a direct deposit in that one account and pay the bills from that account, and then pay and I think Steve Harvey do this with his wife, and then you have.
She doesn't work. That's not true. No, she doesn't work.
But
she does not work. She uses his cards. That's it.
But he do this with him. But they do have one.
The overall thing is just agree on whatever they
yes, what else? Yes.
Couple.
And you
can't dictate to people what they must do with their money and how they must spend it.
Yes, I'm just saying.
Just spend wisely.
Yes, this is just tips that you can do. We just want to share tips with, if you decide, one tip is, if you marry, and both people is working, one way to do it is have one account, and then use that account to pay the bills, a joint account to pay the bills, and then she have his own account, she have her own account, and he have his own account, and then that way, with that individual account, he get a salary, and then she get a salary from them two paychecks. And so we truly thank you for listening and tuning in to Chilling with the Chaplain. We are excited because we are growing, we are learning, we are developing, because like I said, we want to be holistically better. And so as we grow and as we learn new tips and new trades and new things that's helping us, we want to bring it to you.
Even things that, we get forced to talk about. Some of these things are uncomfortable, and that's okay. Just sitting here and I'm listening. Most of it I don't really agree with, but that's how we learn.
Yeah, but like you said, remember what we said earlier, in order for us to get comfortable, we had to get uncomfortable. And so a lot of times we have to tackle these things so that we're able to begin to get more comfortable and be able to learn and be able to develop. And it's okay if you don't agree with some things, and that's why we are together, because yes, we're two individuals. What I'm learning and what I know, I'm not going to agree with something that you know or what you're doing, and you ain't gonna, but as we come together and we discuss and we learning, then we both is able to learn. That's communication.
Yeah.
That's communication. Where we both, because we coming together, discussing and learning, and so that we're to be better and we're to grow. And that's what it's about. And so we like to say this podcast was sponsored by Nest Opportunity. Adult podcast where each of us is able to network and be able to go even further when we not listen to the podcast on Friday and Sunday. We're to network on a daily basis and discuss these same topics inside the community. We do have daily themes that we're to start implementing in our lives so that we're to develop a habit. As well as we do have monthly webinars and meetups, and we do have quarterly masterminds that we can continue to educate ourselves and continue our development. Because like I said before, our education is one of our top priorities. Besides the clothing, our education is our top priority. Besides our rental and food and shelter, things like that. And so we do say we give you a 7-day free trial to try us out, to date us. If you enjoy and you like the community, you want to stay in the community, we say stay. You will be charged $9.99 after that on a monthly basis. We thank you. And so like I said, we say subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
To the channel. Leave those comments, and you can follow us.
You can follow me personally on Instagram at LadySeason1, and
you can follow me at Get Inspired by LJ on Instagram, YouTube, and Fanbase. And like I said, to get more content, to connect with me, these are ways that you can connect with me, as well as you can follow us on all platforms, Chilling with the Chaplins. And so we want to connect with you. We want to continue this conversation. And you can listen to the audio version on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. And like we always say, follow us. Hit that check button. Leave a review. Tell us what you think about the podcast. Leave a review of the difference of your suggestions and what you want to hear from us, as well as rate us. Rate us. This is how you help us to grow the channel. And we like to say we appreciate you. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you for listening to what we had to say.
What he had to say.
what I had to say today, but I thank you. I am a little disappointed because today my wife allowed me to do this on my own, and she would just listen in. And so, I am a little disappointed.
Well, I like to talk on things that I know. Like, I don't want to be saying things that I'm not living or that I'm not doing. So it is what it is. So thank you for listening.
We thank you.
And
we said take care.
Good,
See you next
goodbye.
week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yo, it's your boy, LJ Chaplin, with Lady Caesar, bringing to you Chilling with the Chaplins, where we deep dive, giving you practical concepts in ministry, business, relationship, and personal development. So we can take control of our life. Let's go and let's get it started.